What you know about this? Huh? That's old school.
My life in the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine.
Serious right now. Mason, come on, let's go. Get out of the car. Mason! Mason, get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Come on. Come on, get out of the car.
ATL. Shout to Roy Ayers. Before we get started, Gus T, Renegade, Context of White Supremacy, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information with non-white people, information on what the global system of white supremacy racism is, how it works, what it means to be classified as white. Today's date, Wednesday, July 15, 2025. So I have been told, thick of the summer, drink your water. Wowee. For today's broadcast, Gus T has been on his counter-racist grind. I was going to say for the summer, but if we're being technical about it, this extends back to May. So Gus has been on his counter-racist grind for spring and summer of 2025. Maybe Gus T has been on the grind for the entire calendar year. Anyway, so much of the focus the past 30 days or so has been about the Sade C. Robinson murder trial in Wisconsin. Rightfully so. Gus T out in Wisconsin to cover everything that took place. Daily broadcasts from the courtroom. What an experience. Hopefully folks learned quite a bit about racism in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and the importance of that trial for Sade. Now, the lead up to that trial for Gus T, Seattle resident, was the Seattle International Film Festival. Second time around for Gus T, even though this is a 51-year now annual event. Gus T tried it the first time around last year, right? Enjoyed it. Great films, talked to some of the directors and such, did the Q&A, said, okay, you should be a veteran, you should be able to do it much better this time around. Immersed myself. Last year, saw 17 films, which I thought, hey, that's a lot of movie watching, saw a lot of great movies, all about racism. This year, being a veteran, immersed, I saw almost 36 films. Whew. All of them about white supremacy racism. And I mean every last one. It was way more stressful this year because I knew the murder trial in Wisconsin was looming. I don't know how many people have covered a murder trial, but it is very stressful. And this was a murder and dismemberment trial. It was very stressful. And I had the victim, Sade's mother, Miss Scarborough, she was texting me at times in preparation for the trial, looking at, court documents and all the rest of it. So I think the theme this year for the film festival was the real world, R-E-E-L. Boy, the R-E-A real world of white supremacy. Racism was tugging at me sometimes throughout. I remember getting texts from her during films at times. And I had my phone, I was a good movie spectator, had my phone silent, and I didn't pull out my screen during the movie, but whew, man, it was an experience. And for today's broadcast, I can even give you the sequencing for how I saw the film that we're going to talk about today. Wow. I saw this film on Saturday, May 24th. This was film 2 of 3. Saw this film, was amazing. Met the cast, talked to the film director. Stunning experience. I had to race from that theater, go downtown Seattle, which you know I hate. Go check out film 3 of the day, which was also great. I really didn't see any bad films out of 36, which is crazy, but I really didn't see any bad films. 25th, I go see Film in the Morning. What's that film about? Since she said all these films are about racism. Film 1 of the day, May 25, was transracial adoption. Film 2 of the day, that was about a non-white person who transmogrifies to a white person. They have a center, I forgot what it's called, but you can go and change everything up and get the surgery and boom, 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 boom. You are a white person. This wasn't even a black person. This was a non-white, non-black person who said, forget all this. The racism is awful. I'm ditching all of you dark people. I am going to be white, even if that means practicing racism. That's what I'm going to do. That was the last film I saw at this year's Seattle International Film Festival. The filmmakers were present for both films. I had my luggage in hand as I'm asking questions at the Q&A. I left to go to SeaTac Airport, fly to Wisconsin to cover a murder and dismemberment trial where I left the same day the film festival ended, arrived on Memorial Day, that's May 26, and the trial started May 27. We broadcasted every day. Now, they flex in this film, the black people. That is the flex. I'd say we want to counter racist grind for the summer, but that was the spring. That was the spring. Anyway, so the rewind, to put this film specifically into context for the festival and not Gus personally, I told you, right at about 36 films at the film festival, meaning on the big screen, not the screener, at the theater. I saw about 36 films for the film festival. Last year, I ranked all 17 films that I saw. This year, once the number started getting close to 30, I said, man, I don't know if I can rank 30 films. That's hard. Like, maybe we can do tiers. That'd be a little easier because, that's just, it was a lot of films, and it was a lot of how I really did not see one bad film. There was no, ew, that was really lame, or were they trying to, none of that out of the stuff that I saw, which was all about racism. There are tiers. So the top tier, the best of the best of the best that I saw out of 36 films this year at the film festival, they were in no particular order. Let's Not Go to the Dogs Tonight. Now, I said everything was about racism. Everything? What's that one about? That one, I just said we were just, even before the film festival, we were talking about Zimbabwe. Old Mike Swango, old Robert Mugabe. What is Let's Not Go to the Dogs Tonight about? That is about a white family in Zimbabwe during anti-colonial rule. The time, and they sit there and curse and name call Robert Mugabe. What's the line of the film? White child looks at her white Rhodesian parents and she said, are we racist? Oh, man. Woo! Zimbabwe. Okay, so that's one. Two, Riefenstahl. Oh, my God. That's the thing about the film festival. See, it's for people who like movies. So some of the movies will be about movies or filmmakers. Riefenstahl is a German documentary about the filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl, white woman. Oh my God. Leni Riefenstahl say, hey, I ain't no racist. And don't you call me no Nazi either. They start dropping receipts so heavy in Riefenstahl. They pull out the receipts. Let me walk you slow. They say, Adolf Hitler sent Leni Riefenstahl flowers on his birthday, April 20th. It's lots of receipts throughout the film, but that's the central question. You said you weren't racist, right, Lenny? We gonna see. Oh my God, it is. Shout to Jesse Owens for the cameo in Riefenstahl, because you know they had the Olympics in Berlin in '36. 3, Meeting with Pol Pot. This is about the only one that I'd say maybe not directly about racism. Woo. Amazing. I have more to say later. 4, Seeds, second documentary on the list. Wow. What is that film about? So you say they're all about racism. Racism against black farmers. Seeds, like tomato seeds, cucumber seeds. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I think I did. Okay, thank goodness. Talked about this film before. I think it'll be out, major release at some point soon. Make time to view it if you eat food, perhaps. And the film we're talking about today, this is the best of the best that I saw. 2025 Seattle International Film Festival. The film we're talking about today, which, just like the film I just mentioned, Seeds, they are both in black and white. And both of these films focus on black fathers, and not in a toxic way. Not black dad wasn't here and he stole the money to go shoot craps and raped a white woman after he lost and was in jail for 60 years and we never saw him for peddling crack. And none of that. We've heard that story. Yes, got all that. Yes. None of that. These are black dads who do not rape anybody, seem to enjoy parenting their black children, some of them even grandparents. That's not the film we're talking about today, but that is Seeds. You even get grandpas who, I'm not a rapist. In fact, I like my grandchildren. They're right here. I'm not no deadbeat dad. I'm right here. I see them every day. Oh my God. I could have lost my mind. To have 2 films, black parenting and or black fathering specifically. I could have cried. I was so grateful to have seen both of them, and then even overjoyed for the film we're discussing today. Man, I stumbled and went at the correct time. They had like the whole cast for the film was right there. The filmmaker. Wow, it was one of the best experiences, even though it was a little rushed, because I had murder trial and flight to Wisconsin on my mind for the next day. And even you do have another film to see today. But wow, for that time of immersion, what a film, and hopefully we can get some of that today. You heard a teaspoon from the intro today. Roy Ayers and all, we're just going out to the baseball game, and oh no, filth, Florin, filth, oh no. Joining us live to discuss an absolutely superb film, Ode to Atlanta, and Gus T, even though I am in the 206 now in proud Seattle, I did live in Atlanta and all the way through MARTA, moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta. That's not the technical name, but woo-wee. 5 Points, Decatur, where it's greater, King Center, Morris Brown, Selman, Clark, I said Selman, Morehouse, Magic City, Buckhead, where I used to work and live. Do not give up the effort. They do not have to force you to be a part of no Negro City. My homies in Buckhead, keep up the fight. Keep up the fight. One day, the city of Buckhead. Nothing to do with ATL. Joining us live to discuss a fantastic film, Ode to Atlanta. Wow, so pleased to have him on the program. Our guest, Mr. David Fritz Fortune. Mr. Fortune, are you with us, sir?
What's going on, Gus? It's a pleasure.
We are overjoyed to have you on the broadcast to discuss a spectacular film. For listeners, since this is kind of a newer release just coming out this year, I'm sure we have lots of folks who've not seen the film, so hopefully we can help be a part of the buzz to get folks out to check it out. For listeners, this might be their first time hearing about you and your superb filmmaking. Anything that you would like to share about your bio and the work you do?
For sure. So for those who are new to knowing me and kind of my work, my name is David Fortune. I'm a writer and director based in Atlanta, Georgia, from Atlanta, Georgia. And, you know, I graduated Morehouse College with a degree in cinema, and I've always just wanted to tell stories that showcase the intimacies of Black men. I felt like Black men has not always been shown in the correct light, and I feel like it's my duty to uplift us through narrative filmmaking. And so I've always had a love of showing the intimacies, the vulnerabilities, and the tenderness that exists within Black men that we often don't see in cinema.
Wow. Maybe, I don't know. Dr. King, Morehouse, man, Dick Gregory, I don't know. Maybe that's what I should have went to Morehouse, maybe. Wow. That is that is really similar to what he said when we spoke at the festival. So I mean, consistency. Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know it.
It shows in the final product, I will say. It seems self-explanatory at this point, but everybody at Morehouse is not classified as Black. So you are a Black male, Mr. Fortune?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you.
Last time I checked, last time I looked in the mirror.
Right on. And are you actually an Atlanta native?
Yes. So specifically, I grew up in Decatur, Georgia, but I always say Atlanta because some people might not know where Decatur is. But I grew up on the east side, and yeah, Atlanta native since I was 2 years old. My mom moved us from Brooklyn, New York, but Atlanta has been home since then.
Decatur, where it's greater, that does count. Anybody in the Atlanta area, yes, Decatur, that for sure counts. Okay. I guess, man, I'm even staggered with that. I was going to say, like, did you get, it would seem like there would be resistance, like that's your mission statement as a filmmaker? You want to show Negro males in a correct, what? Like, it would seem like Hollywood, like, you're going to have to get on out of here, Mr. Fortune. Like, I don't know, find Spike Lee, see if y'all can do something together. Like, but you started from Morehouse. Like, you kind of did you tell them from the beginning this was your vision as a filmmaker? Did they try to dissuade you or tell you, ooh, Mr. Fortune, that's going to be tough?
You know, at Morehouse is always supported because, you know, that's the mission statement at large is how do we uplift Black men serve the community in general and at large, but also represent Black men in a way that goes against, what they probably perceive of us. And so Morehouse, it was always supported. When I went to grad school at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, there was a little bit of that pushback of like Black filmmakers telling Black stories. How about you tell stories that is universally appealing to everyone? Those type of perspectives. However, for myself is no one's holding white men to tell, other stories that might go against their perspectives or their experiences. So why should I? So for me, I just stood my ground as this is the type of stories I want to tell, and this is how I want to tell it. You could like it, you could love it, you could hate it, but I'm going to tell what's in my truth. And that's how I wake up every morning, and that's how I feel comfortable looking in the mirror every morning, knowing that I'm standing on my truth.
What in the... I'm such a loser. I should have at least tried to get into Morehouse. I could have been like Mr. Fortune. Like, wow. Now, you did hear that he's got a little bit of that subversiveness because he said, I'm going to stand my ground. Like, oh, we got Trayvon Martin here. Like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Wow. Morehouse man, Mr. Fortune. Okay. Let's get to the film, man. Color
sure.
Book. Like, was this something that you had percolating for a while, or did this come to you more recently to make a story this focused on a relationship between a Black dad and his son?
Yeah, so for myself, I've been thinking about this film since I graduated from Loyola Marymount University in 2018. I just had that vision of a Black father and a son going on a journey somewhere. I just didn't know what specific narrative or road I was going to take to visually showcase that. But it wasn't until, I believe, 2021 where I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm not seeing this story in Hollywood. I'm not seeing these stories in movies. I'm not seeing these stories in film festivals. Right now it's my because I'm a big believer in the fact that if there's a story that you want to see, it's up to you to go make. As artists, we have to take accountability in what's being projected and what's being shown. And if not, then Hollywood's going to do whatever they want with that narrative. And so for me, I just took that initiative. Initially, it was just supposed to be a Black father-son story. The child did not have Down syndrome. But it wasn't until I started speaking to parents who was raising children who had disabilities and who had Down syndrome specifically, is when I decided that, hey, I think there's a narrative here that's worth exploring. I also worked as a camp counselor for children who had Down syndrome as well. So I had that experience of the community. And so slowly but surely it started to emerge. And I wrote a short film. And Netflix supported that short film with a $25,000 budget. And then from there, I flipped it into a feature film because I felt like, you know what? We need to see a larger story. How do they wake up? How do they go to sleep? What are their day-to-day experiences? And so I wrote a feature film that was eventually funded by the AT&T Untold Stories program, which provided me $1 million to make it.
That is amazing. Like, wow. What are the Morehouse man? See, he got spent time working at the camp, children with Down syndrome. Like, this Mr. Fortune, Dr. King, that's right. That's right. That's what we do at Morehouse. Yeah. That's how you do it. Wow. Did Gregory too? Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, whether it's Morehouse or not, as people, we should have a desire to serve. Just like how you serving through journalism is like I'm serving through filmmaking. I think in some capacity we need to look at how are we giving to this world and how are we supporting it and what are we using our gifts for to help make it better from today to tomorrow and in the future. And so that's just how I try to approach it. Is this film serving? Is this film helping? And if it's not, then I need to look elsewhere. But for me, I felt like this film could just give people a different outlook about the perspective of Black men in our journey, in our vulnerabilities, and the things we go through on a day-to-day basis.
Amazing. We are speaking with filmmaker, writer, Mr. David Fortune. Before I ask specifically about why the title color book for this project, I just want to go back to that theme about being pressured, not at Morehouse, but outside, being pressured. Say, hey, Mr. Fortune, why don't you, as opposed to, having this singular focus on Black people and Black dudes, why don't you make it a more universal story, have more universal appeal? One of the films that I saw at the festival, it marketed as a film to Black people with strong Black characters, which is true. But the main family that you are focusing on, they have a Black mom, and they talk a lot of, Black power and Black pride and all of that. But her husband is not a Black male. And in fact, there are no Black males in the film except her son. Mm-hmm. He's not even 18, and it's lots more, like I said, but no, adult Black dudes, they do not exist in the film. You have non-white males, but they are not Black. And I pointed that out, I thought this was universal. I thought this was supposed to be a Black film, but you can't have Black dudes in the film. And I keep seeing that pattern, and I said, man, I don't know how to feel about that. Not that I have anything against, this was a so-called Native American dude. And the thing that really galled me about that was I told you I saw almost 36 films. So the film that I saw just before that, it was called Drowned Land. And it was about how Native Americans, specifically in Oklahoma, they owned Black slaves, and then they excommunicated all of them, as opposed to you all been with us, you're part of the Choctaw Nation here, and beat it, and they kicked them all out, and now they have an embargo. You're not even allowed to talk about the way that they've mistreated Black people in Oklahoma as a part of this tribe. I had just seen, and I was in the Q&A, of course, because I had my badge, so I spoke about this during the Q&A, and she said, oh man, I'm so glad you asked me about that, because I'm going to make a whole film. So I had just seen that. There was no universality there. They're victims of racism, but it was not, let's make sure we include our Black brothers, and we're not even going to talk about them. The Black film comes out, and there's no Black male husband. It's going to be universal. Let's get a Latino, Native American. There we go. I'll hush there. That was the universal. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to add there, Mr. Fortune?
No, if that's how they approach their story, that's how they approach their story. I can only control how I approach mine, at my perspective. And, I wanted to make sure that, I was very clear of the Black family household that I was trying to present. So, I stick to, what's my voice and keep it there. How they approached it is how they approached it.
Love it. Why did you choose the title Color Book for this project?
Man, to be honest with you, I was struggling with the title early on, because I just didn't want to, a title that was generic, fair, a sad title that leaned into the emotions of the film. I wanted a title that kind of gave the film a sense of hope, and a sense of levity that I felt like was in the film, but was in the film sporadically. And so when I was trying to dig for the title of the film, what I usually do is I try to find objects in the movie that reflects the greater meaning and the greater story that I'm trying to tell. And when I found this coloring book, I recognized that it meant just not the destination, but the importance of the journey. And we see in the color book, their experiences from home to the train station, to the fireworks, to, them eating at the diner. And it's a lesson on how to value the present moments that we often overlook and skip. And that's something for me was important to share. And I felt like this color book was a reflection of that. And so I just gave it the title Color Book, because it just felt like, you know what, this reflects the essence of what this movie is about. And I think this could help people when they're reflecting on what they just watched.
I have to sit with that now that I've seen the film a few times. Wow. Okay. Wow. For people who've not seen this film, man, oh man, let me tell you about Jeremiah Daniels. Mr. Fortune can do a much better job, but wow. Old no count Gus T. I'm not fresh. I'm not well dressed. I'm a little stressed because I'm thinking, I got Wisconsin Lumen and all the rest of it. So I get to the theater to see Color Book this Saturday, May 24th, and literally one of the first people that I bump into, and I don't know, this is Mr. Daniels when I see him, but this is Mr. Daniels. And he's standing out front on the red carpet like he knows where he is supposed to be. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Daniels looked fresher than everybody, Mr. Fortune included, who was on the red carpet. See, he had his gold chain on. Boy, he looked like, where are the photographers? Get my good side. I'm ready. Okay, man. And he was so humble. I'm telling you, he was looking fresh to death. Now I look like old ragamuffin because I'm confused, I'm stressed. Mr. Daniels came up to me like I'm Denzel Washington. Brother Denzel, I'm your biggest. Give me a hug, brother. And I'm looking like he doesn't even. I ain't got no gold chain. Shake my hand, brother. What you doing? Until you came to see the film? Come here. You came to see. It's gonna be great. You look for my part now. I was stunned. And he had his mom there. She looked so proud, as she should, and his dad and everything. Tell us, how did you find the star of the film, Mr. Jeremiah Daniels?
Man, to be honest with you guys, it was such a long search. We put out a casting call to the world, and we thought we was gonna get every child actor who has Down syndrome, who wants to be in a movie, who wants to be a star. We thought it was gonna be like a rush of opportunities coming in, and to be honest with you, not many people submitted for the role of Mason, and we maybe had 6 children come in, max. And I just remember one day my producer reached out to me. She was saying, "Hey, there's this, kid that wants to audition for the film. He wasn't on our list. He wasn't a part of the reach out, but they learned about the movie and would like to submit, for the part." So I was like, "Shoot, of course, why not? We can take in all who's available." And he came in for a Zoom audition, and he smiled. And when I say everybody else on the Zoom call smiled with him, it was like contagious. It was so infectious, but in a beautiful way. We couldn't stop smiling while we was on the call. He didn't even have to say a word. We just couldn't stop smiling and laughing because he had that energy that was so infectious. And then afterwards, we said, you know what, let's bring him in for a chemistry read with Will Catlett, because at that time we had Will cast. And he met with Will, and I just remember they just had a beautiful chemistry. And I pulled Will to the side after the audition, and I said, "Will, what you think about this cat, Jeremiah?" And Will looked me dead in my eyes, and he said, "That's my son. That's my son." He was like, "Dave, you're the director. You can cast whoever you want to cast, but that's my son." And, I couldn't say no to that, and so I gave Jeremiah's parents a call the next day, and he was on the flight. Actually, he wasn't on the flight. He got ready. He had 1 week to learn all his lines, to learn the entire script, and he was ready to go by day 1. He knew not only his lines, but he knew Will's lines as well. So that boy, he's cold. He's cold.
That buddy, not just from the film cold, but he was dressed cold. Like, oh yeah, I know. I know you all fitting to find out. I'm cold. You don't even know. Like Jeremiah Daniels, like, wow, just a man. You can, I guess, if you can give some of the details, because I didn't even know that he had basically learned this in 1 week, like 7 days. I got it. God made the world. I learned my lines, no problem. Can you give some of the detail? Because I think you and other co-star in the film, Will Catlett, his father, can you talk about how you all kind of studied the relationship in terms of how Jeremiah Daniels' parents, how they kind of foster and kind of raise him, to look at that relationship, to kind of study and incorporate some of that into the film?
Yes, for sure. So Will, he was cast 2 weeks before the movie, so he didn't have much time either. So how Will approached it, because he also wanted to make sure that his performance was authentic and it honored parents who's raising children who have Down syndrome. And so what he kind of did was he just studied, Jeremiah's parents and their relationship, and understood, all right, when are there times when, it's okay to be a little bit hard on them? When is there time to show a little bit of grace? When is there time to show some love? When is there time to apply a little bit of discipline? And so he sat and he just watched, Joy and parents who are Jeremiah's parents engage with him. He went out to dinner with them. He went out to lunch with them. Every weekend they would just go out and hang out. And so through those hanging out, Will was just able to kind of gather just the experience of raising a child who has a disability, but also understood how to parent him in a way that felt authentic and pay true respect to parents who are in those situations. So it was just Will just spending time with Jeremiah, just not him, but also his parents as well.
I think he did an amazing job. I mean, wow. It's one of the best films that I saw out of dozens of amazing best of the best color book.
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well earned, well earned. I guess since this is so much about being a parent, are you a father, Mr. Fortune?
No, I'm not. I'm not a father. Not yet, I'll say.
Okay. Was it challenging getting this sort of project made?
In what way? I'm curious. Are you talking about financially, or are you talking about just creating and writing?
Let's see. I'm thinking in a myriad of ways. You already told us about the budget, because this started smaller grant, and then you got the AT&T $1 million budget to make the project. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you had already had the idea for it. So I guess from so many perspectives, from a marketing perspective, was it difficult to market a film like this?
Well, we're still in it, but I would say not so much, because, this film speaks to so many different communities. You have the Black community, you have the disability community, you have Black fathers, you have the city of Atlanta. This film touches on so many different people's lives. And so marketing isn't really the issue, because I think it applies to so many people while also being very specific and nuanced to a community. And to me, that's the fun part. That's the easy part, because we know who relates to this film, we know who connects to this film, and we know who will appreciate it. So it wasn't difficult on that end. As it relates to getting it made, I wrote the film in 2022. We got funding in 2023 and premiered it in 2024, so we had a really quick turnaround. So it wasn't even, difficult in that aspect. I think where the challenge is currently that the film is facing is getting proper distribution. Because I think a lot of, specific studios or distributors, they're a little bit hesitant to take on a film that sometimes is in black and white. But we learned by showcasing this movie all across the nation that that's not an issue. People actually love it for that reason. And so we're still working to find a distribution home. And that's, I would say, is the fight that we're currently in.
Wow. Just for the record, 2 of the best films that I saw at the Seattle International Film Festival were in black and white, just for the record. Anyway, why did, just since that's been an issue or top, why did you choose to make this film in black and white?
It was really not even a stylistic choice, Gus. It was more based off the story. This film is about a relationship between a father and his son. And as a result, I just really wanted you to be focused on that. I didn't want you to be distracted by what's behind them, but be gravitating towards the relationship that's between them. And black and white helps accentuate that, where it knocks out the background, but elevates the foreground. And so it was an obvious choice for me. It felt like when I closed my eyes and I watched the film, I wasn't watching a movie. I was watching an experience. I wasn't even feel like I was watching. I felt like I was immersed in an experience, in a relationship. And in color, it felt like I was just watching a movie. And so for me, I wanted to provide an experience that you could be inside of rather than just watching from the outside.
Wow. I love that answer. And it's been a stressful and busy year. Now, there was a Q&A after Color Book was screened here in Seattle. I believe this subject matter came up, and somewhere in the discussion, I think my memory could be bad, it may have been mentioned that, hey, since grief is such a major component of this film, when you're grieving, that kind of saps the color out of things. And I thought that was so appropriate, especially since it's called Color Book and the film opens with Tammy and they're doing all the colors and purple and like that. That also seemed like, oh, that's so perfect for all, like, since they're grieving, it has just kind of sapped all the color and life out. But I like both of them equally. Like, that is, yes, it just focuses you right on them. You're not paying attention to all the other wackiness. The fireworks aren't even as bright. Just bam, right there.
Yeah.
Mason, Dad. Brilliant, Mr. Fortune. Brilliant.
Well, thank you.
For sure. I guess just quick, since I did mention Tammy at the beginning, we get a quick shot of Mason and Mom, and I mean quick. That's how the movie opens. What was the decision with that, since so much of this movie is about grieving her loss?
Yeah, the opening changed so much. It changed from like a montage of pictures of her childhood to her adulthood. It changed, to just like a image of her standing at the window. It constantly evolved. I had trouble finding out what was the opening of the film, but it wasn't until, we got into the post-edit and I just said, hey, let's just kind of open this film with a sense of intimacy. Let's just show the connection between Tammy and Mason, and get a sense of who she is, how she sounds, what she looks like, how she talks, how frizzy and curly her hair is. I just wanted to just introduce the audience to who she is as an individual. So by the time we learn of her passing, we know about her. We connected with her. She's family to us. And we feel the pain that Lucky feels because we felt like we known her. And so it was just a point where I just wanted the audience to know her as a person rather than just know the basic information that she's passed away.
Wow. That is exquisite. And the curliness of her hair that comes up in the pictures in the coloring book, that comes up. Brilliant. I already mentioned moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta, which is the MARTA public transit system in the Atlanta area, which is not very efficient, and deliberately so. That is not Gus T saying it. That is well documented. Wait, next time they have a snowstorm, it'll be documented again. It is deliberately not efficient because moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta, System of White Supremacy. Again, that's not the official title, but they, Lucky, Mason, dad, son, they do not have a car in Atlanta. Woo. Why is that a significant part of the story? And you hint at that, and then that becomes a major component, as we heard in the intro. Just can you touch about why you incorporated that into this story?
Yes, so because that's a lot of people's life experience in our city. MARTA is there to help people communicate through different parts of the community and city. And many people use MARTA as a vehicle of transportation. And I wanted to kind of give those who aren't from the city that insight of how do we commute to work? How do we commute to our baseball games? How do we commute to school? That's how I commuted to school when I was at Bethune Middle. I used to take MARTA, so that was a normal occurrence within the community. And I just wanted to give people that insight. And so, it's hard to give people that perspective if, they have a car and they can just drive to the game. But what if they don't have a car? Just like millions of people in Atlanta don't. Well, they just go through MARTA to get to where they need to get to. And I wanted to give those who aren't from our city a perspective and an experience of what is that like.
Wow. The inefficiency, wow, is, just wow. I don't even know. That's really the whole movie is an ode to the inefficiency of MARTA, particularly me being in Seattle now. I love the 206. You literally can be in the furthest part of Seattle, literally. And you could, if it was the same thing, hey, we want to go to the ball game. You could be in the furthest part of the city. You don't even have to be in Seattle. You could be outside Seattle and bam, you could be on that train and boop, in front of it would not be, you got to hop off at this train. You could be on the train and bam, sit comfortably. You could even fall asleep and just get woken up at the ball. Inefficient and deliberately so, because what I said at the beginning, Buckhead, we are succeeding. We do not want no MARTA, and we do not want no niggers. We don't even want to be connected with no Negro city. Oh, get out of here. You and Magic City. That is anyway. The black mental health. You said there's so many different components to this film in terms of, what would appeal to many different audiences of moviegoers. I am so proud. This is the second interview that we've done, filmmakers from this year's film festival. Both filmmakers. We talked about the film Tina, which was amazing. That is not in the group of 36 because I didn't even get to see that on the theater this year. But that film by New Zealand filmmakers, non-white, all about racism, that and grief, but that film, black or non-white male mental health. There are no black people in that film, but it's about racism and non-white, non-black people, but non-white male mental health. And he said he specifically, when we talked to the filmmakers and some of the actors, they said specifically that is a major component of the film, that they have a really macho male culture in New Zealand, but mental health and talking about grief and dealing with your emotions as a male in a system of race. I'm so proud. The first two interviews that we did from the film festival, that is a major component of both films. I guess before I get Mr. Fortune to kind of respond to that, this is a sound clip. We've already been talking about it. So this is Lucky. He's talking to his brother. They're on the MARTA, and they're discussing their car troubles while they're on the MARTA, and then discussing grief. And how are you doing, Lucky? Like this We'll hear the conversation and then get Mr. Fortune's thoughts on black males specifically dealing with grief in the context of white supremacy.
Man, you lying like hell.
I'm dead ass.
Oh, man. You went through all that and you still going?
Yeah. My little man.
You a better man than me, boy. I'd have went back and popped his ass, though.
Oh, for real?
Although, I probably wouldn't have bought a car for no $1,500. That's just me, though.
Hey, watch out, man.
I'm just dog, you know what I'm saying? Oh, shit. I feel you, though. God damn, man. How you holding, man?
I'm good. Everything's straight for the most part.
Look. How are you doing, man?
I'm gonna be straight.
My dog. All right. Where we at with it, Picasso?
Najima Williams, excellent performance. Uncle Meej, bravo, bravo. Can you speak to just the importance and your effort here at addressing black male mental health?
For sure. Because it's such a sensitive topic, right? When we're just not talking about, black mental health, but, mental wellness, and being able to open up and share, not just our problems, but, our day-to-day dealings that, that we don't even know how to express it. And so with that scene, I didn't want to make that moment where it's like Lucky just shares all of his emotional drama and his baggage, because the truth be told, as black men, we struggle with that. As black men, we struggle with sometimes opening up and being vulnerable. Because in doing so, it feels like you're seeing a sense of weakness. And it's not weak, but growing up, that's what it felt like we've been taught. To cry is weak, to share our emotions is weak, to be emotional is weak. And that's what's been placed on us. So when you're asked, how are you doing? We haven't even gotten the educational tools to know how to truly express ourselves, one, and then two, to actually express ourselves. And so I wanted to kind of paint a picture of that reality in that portrait. And I know sometimes it could be hurtful to watch that scene because, we want Lucky to root and share and champion mental wellness and open up. But the truth is we still have a long ways to go. And we still have a battle when it comes to sharing our vulnerability and expressing ourselves. And most importantly, knowing the tools of how to express ourselves. And so that scene is just a pure reflection in the portrait of that.
Wow. The Cows, Mr. David Fritz Fortune. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was a guest on our program 31 times. He talked about the importance of mental health on a regular basis, and because of the system of racism, man, we are traumatized on a daily basis in a variety of ways. And as he said, we aren't even given the tools to articulate what is going on with our thoughts. And then even frequently when we do articulate those thoughts now, how many times are black people's thoughts and views, shut up, get out of here, that sort of thing. So, hey, yeah, it's man, it is tough. It is tough. I see we had folks who dialed in too. I wanted to ask you, there's so much in the film. Had Roy Ayers transitioned before? I guess, yeah, but given the Roy Ayers was still alive. He had not transitioned at the time that you put all this in the film, correct?
No, he had not transitioned. I don't think he had a chance to watch the film. That was something I really wanted him to do. But it didn't, it didn't reach him in time. So that's something I think about a lot. Because funny enough, my niece, my sister sent me a video of my niece in the car bopping to Roy Ayers. Like, everybody loves the sunshine, and she's just bopping her head, not knowing her uncle made a film that has that song in it. So to me, it just shows like his spirit lives on. That even my niece, who's 2 years old, from a totally different generation, doesn't know what from what, but she can still feel the rhythm of that song and that music. I don't know. It speaks volumes.
Everybody loves Roy Ayers. We miss you, Brother Roy. Chicago. That scene, even the incorporation of that song, I thought was so exquisite. That's why I said well earned, why it's one of the best films that I saw, because it was so quick. Appreciating the journey. So it's so brief, the moment where they're bopping and they got the car and we're going to the game, and then the car dies. Like, oh man, oh man, like, woo! I mean, just everything about that scene. This is the journey, unfortunately, and not having a car. And he said this is the existence for so many black people in Atlanta. Absolutely. But even that's how we get the Roy Ayers to transition almost, I'd say, so violently from the Roy Ayers moment to, oh my God, the car might burst in flames. And now we are back on the moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta. Like, can you talk about how you put that scene together? Because it's brilliant.
No, that scene, I think about me and my older brother and him, playing like Tupac or playing like Outkast or playing T.I. or Killer Mike, and we just riding to the music, not saying nothing, and we just bopping our head, right? And to me, it was like that scene was just a tribute of just like, man, we just experienced some pain in the scene prior where Lucky kind of discovers, his wife, wrecked vehicle. And now it's like we're going to a game and there's a sense of hope. And to me, it's just like I want to pay tribute to those experiences of riding in your car and the music's blasting. And there's a sense of all is going to be well. But what happens when everything is taken away from you? How do you respond? How do you persevere? And that scene was just a reflection of like the sense of hope and when it's snatched from you. What do you do in that space? And what I love about it is that Lucky and Mason don't give up on their journey. They go home, they reflect for a bit, they grieve the car. But for me, it was about, hey, when things happen that doesn't go your way, how do you continue to step forward? How do you continue to persevere? And that's what kind of that moment reflects and represents. And so it was one, a tribute to my upbringing and riding in my brother's car in his old school. But also it was a visual metaphor of kind of having the sense of resilience when you don't even have the strength to.
Filmmaker David Fritz Fortune talking about his phenomenal project, Color Book. I see folks dialed in with a hand up. Octavius in New York. Did you have a question for Mr. Fortune? Octavius in New York. Did you have a question?
Greetings, Gus. Greetings, callers and listeners. And thank you for being with us today. Really appreciate this. From what I'm hearing from the movie, obviously I haven't seen it yet, but it sounds like a great piece of work. I have a question, two questions actually. One, which you were just speaking about, do you think Black men, as they continue to express themselves in society, do you think this society is relatively even prepared for that as we begin to speak up?
That's a really great question. So, do I think society is prepared for it? I don't think so. I don't think not yet, right? Because it's a progression. As we're learning to express ourselves, society has to learn to accept how we're expressing it, and that takes time. Do I feel like we'll ever get to that space? I do have hope that we will, but it's a process. Because again, it's a process for us to learn how to articulate our emotions, and once we do that, society has to learn how to receive it, and that's a process within itself. So initially, I don't know. I don't see it as something that'll be instant to do. But I do think over time, as we continue to learn how to express ourselves and how and allowing society to also go through their process and learn how to receive it, I do think we'll get there.
Got it. Appreciate that. And one more question, and a little bit of a statement involved as well, but the idea of actually the color book, was that because you were trying to draw attention away from the fact that so many people, including our youth, are so like invested into phones and devices, so they're not really present at the moment? So the coloring book obviously henceforth allows them to be present. And one other thing, and I have to admit this to you, as a single father, I used to give my son a book at the table, a coloring book, and let him draw while I cook food in the kitchen. So when I heard the story, it definitely resonated a bit there. Again, thanks for your work, and I'll let you answer those questions and mute my line. Thank you.
No, one, I just wanted to say, like, that's actually a theme that we see throughout the film, is that in idle time, Mason, who plays, Jeremiah Daniel, who plays Mason in film, his dad tells him, hey, go and color. Or that's the assignment that he does in moments just to hold them still. And so the coloring book is just used as a device, one, for educational purpose. Children with Down syndrome, and not all children, but specific children who have issues with the mechanics within their hands, their parents would utilize drawing exercises to help strengthen, the muscles within their fingers. And that would help them to know how to write their names, know how to color, and just kind of be able to be in society and function when it comes to their writing skills. So, that was kind of, our approach in that was that this is an educational tool for, Mason to know how to write and draw, and coloring is a tool for that. But you also mentioned something very important when it comes to the focus and attention and being present. In this film, I really didn't want to focus on modern technology. I really wanted us to be timeless. And of course, nowadays, tablets are utilized to keep children present. But for me, I wanted to take away the tablet. I wanted to take away the iPhone. I wanted to take away the computer or the laptop, because I didn't want you to think about what time period you're in. I just wanted you to be focused on this father and son relationship. Because if I pull out a tablet, now you're saying, oh, that's 2023 or that's 2026. Oh, that's the new iPhone. So I try to do my best to eliminate any technology devices and just focus on the things we grew up utilizing, which was coloring books, which was drawing, materials. And so I just wanted to lean into something that was more timeless.
Fascinating. Wow. Much obliged. Octavius in New York, *61. Other folks, if they have a question for Mr. Fortune, that is, I do recall that about the film. There's not really anything that could place, like, oh yeah, this is, 2000 such and such, or even 19 such and such. I mean, it's just, yeah, could kind of fit timeless, any period in the greater Atlanta area. You, if I recall, you said as an Atlanta native, Decatur for sure counts. This film is kind of an ode to Atlanta, because you get to see so much of the city and riding around on the MARTA and all of that. That's kind of reflected in the way the project's put together. Is that true?
So Gus, I'm actually trying to go back on that. Because I have a love in my heart for my city, and I want to just normalize Atlanta in this film and not make it such a passionate love letter. I want you to see Atlanta how Mason and Lucky sees it. It's just that this is Atlanta. This is the neighborhood we walk through every other day. This is where we drive through every single day. This is where we go to get our food. This is where we go to commute and transport ourselves from one part of the city to the next. I'm not no longer interested in making it a love letter or having it be a love letter, but just say, hey, it's a love letter to this relationship, and they happen to be in Atlanta. And through that normalization, you get to feel the honesty of the city. And so I'm now more so focused on, hey, this is a love letter to a father-son relationship that's based in the city, and not so much focused on the city itself.
Wow. Great point. The scene on the MARTA where Lucky loses Mason is, wow, for so many reasons. And even for us who folks remember Devontae, we were once a family, and what can happen, Child Protective Services, for black children and black parents. It's not just the black child who's traumatized by all of this. If you got black parents who are out there working hard and doing everything, and have someone come in and snatch your child up and say, hey man, you are a no count parent, you need to take some courses or whatever we say to get your child back. When he loses Mason on the train, oh man, and then they rescue, you think everything is over, but not so fast. I just want to play, this is a quick audio snippet of Mason, and he's there with his dad, Lucky. I guess they're in the kind of MARTA security holding pen, I guess we'll call it, and they're waiting for the police. They're going to come and, do some real questioning. They're going to check out this Mason dude. But I just want to play this quick snippet and then get Mr. Fortune's commentary. This is from the amazing film Color Book.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm seriously really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to need you fellas to sit tight for a bit. MARTA police are on their way.
Police? Wait, what?
Sir, you left your son unattended at a public station. They're on their way to investigate the matter.
What are they investigating? We were on the train. My son got off at the wrong stop. He doesn't know any better. I'm here now, so what's the problem?
Sir, I just know they're on their way, and you can discuss it with them when they get here.
I'm not discussing anything with anybody, okay? Come on, Mason.
Sir, I'm gonna need you to sit down, or we'll have you arrested when the police get here.
Okay, look, we just want to make sure we get him back to his parents.
I am his parent!
Woo, man, that Gus T was sitting front row. And when I say front row, it was a packed house that Saturday, May 24, here in Seattle. So I was lucky, to get a seat at all. So I was thankful I was sitting on the front row. But man, to have that happening right in front of my nose, I am the parent. And he's talking to all black people, just for the record, which is very accurate for Atlanta, that the MARTA security personnel would be all black people that look like your cousin. I am the parent. We'll see about that. Sit down and keep quiet, for we have to tase you. Man, Woo! Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't even that take the answer that he just gave that, Gus, I'm walking back that ode to Atlanta. Like, this is just where we are. We live here every day and, woof. Being a black parent on the MARTA can be tough for a variety of reasons. Can you give us the background for putting this scene together, Mr. Fortune?
Yeah. This scene really comes after Lucky losing Mason on the train. And it goes dealing with him as a parent, in the beginning or even the day prior, he's up at night, folding clothes, washing dishes, make sure the home is good and ready, and then he goes on the course to take his son to a game. They wake up early, they got to walk somewhere, their car breaks down, and now they finally settled on a train and, he's fatigued. He closes his eyes for a few seconds, what he feels like, and he wakes up and his son is gone. And he goes on a mission and journey to find his son. But he can't find him because guess what? The train doors closes, and now it's taking him far out. So now he has to get off that train and try to get onto another train, and that train he misses, and so now he's waiting on the stop, just eager to just get back to his boy. And then finally he continues to go, he gets on the train again, gets at the right stop, and he just searches all throughout the train station just to find his son. And finally, when he gets to him, he's told to sit down. He's told, not so fast. We got to investigate this matter. And I could only imagine the frustration, the anger, the vitriol that he has in his spirit because of just all that he's going through, all that he's facing, losing his wife, trying to take his son to a baseball game, but everything's going wrong. And you're telling me in subtle words that I'm not his father? And so when we talk about, expressing ourselves, yes, there are probably other ways he could have said that. But in that moment, that's what he's standing on. I am his parent. This is my son. Who's going to tell me anything different? And so that scene just comes from a place of, one, being a parent, right? And then also standing your ground on that no one's going to take my boy away from me. And I just wrote it from that perspective, but Will carried it. Will took that scene and elevated a different notch. Like, and I just remember on the day of shooting, I could feel the thunder of his voice as he say those lines. Like, it felt like the whole train station was shaking when he said, I am his parent. So every time I listen to that scene, I get goosebumps, So it's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, if I'm being honest.
Shout to Mr. Catlett, who was at the premiere, and I said, like, the whole cast was, man. And I have to make sure I get on the record, Mr. Jeremiah Daniels' mom and dad, they were both there, but wowee, his mom, she looked so proud, absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She knew it was going to be cute weather, I think, in Seattle, because it was like 70 degrees that day. It was so sunny and beautiful. She had her toenails done and everything. She was so proud of her son. Like, that is my boy. Look, she looked so happy. She had the biggest smile. Like, I was able to talk to his dad and his mom, but wow, they looked so tickled. And being a black parent is the hardest job in the world, which I made sure to tell them both because I say that all the time. But wow, they look like they are crushing it with their son. Bravo to the both of them, because I was able to spend some time with them too. I guess, speaking of parents, how did the relationship with your father influence this project?
Well, my father passed when I was 2 years old. So I really relied on the men who stepped into my life. And and who served as father figures for myself when I didn't have my dad present. And, you know, it wasn't his fault. He passed away when I was 2 years old. No, when I was 4 years old. My apologies. So this film was a tribute to the men who raised me. And the men who raised me, they weren't perfect. They were flawed individuals, but they had hearts of gold. And that's kind of the reference I use when creating Lucky. He wasn't a perfect father by any means. He had his flaws. He had his temper. He had his flare-ups. You know, he was still trying to find himself, you know, as a single parent. And I kind of used the men who took me under their wings and, you know, used their anger. Like, you know, they weren't always good with, you know, their emotions and expressing themselves. And I kind of just formulate that from their perspective. So it felt like I was writing a biopic of a man based off the men who raised me, and share that with the film and the character Lucky.
Wow. Wow. That is stunning. I guess, I don't know if Lucky is kind of a loose compilation of different male figures who stepped in your father's absence, condolences there. I don't know. I'd say, it would have to be more good than bad. Like Lucky in balance, I'd say, wow, he's mostly good. Like, yeah.
Yeah. You know, Lucky, Lucky is a good father. He's a good person, but he's human. And for me, when I'm trying to create black men in my films, I don't want to create a fantasy. I want to create a sense of reality, and that reality is based on their humanity. And being human, you have your flaws, and that's okay. And for me making this film, I want to show the world that, hey, here's a flawed black man, but here's a man who's trying. Here's a man who's staying committed to his duty. Yes, there might be parts of it that makes us, you know, question him in certain moments. But then you have to look at yourself and ask yourself, are you perfect? Do you have it all figured out? So why do you expect him to? And so I just try to create from that perspective that he's a flawed individual, but him being flawed is him being human. And that's all of us.
Wow. The cows, Mr. David Fortune. They have their NWA 100 miles and running moment where they break out of the security holding pen and burst into or onto the train, and they are able to escape. My favorite, or I guess my second favorite moment in the film, they're on the train. They get on the walkie-talkie, the MARTA security folks, like, oh my gosh, they ran out of here. And like I said, all of the MARTA security personnel and police are black, which is pretty close to how things would be in reality. So they get on the train and they boom, boom, boom. And so the police get on there and they're looking around like, oh, they spot them. They go over. It's like, that's you. Aren't you the two? You all ran. You left your boy. And, oh yeah, I'm gonna need you to get off. And Lucky's like, come on, I'm just trying to take him to the Braves game. Gee whiz. And he looks at the black police officer, black male. He looks at both of them. You're just going to the game. He looks at Mason. He's got his jersey on, baseball jersey on. Looks back at the dad. Looks back at them both. Fine. Have a good day. And he lets them out. I'm stunned. Like, oh my God. Like, what they could have been. That could have been bad like a billion different ways, and you get a break from a black male cop. Like, now, which could happen in Atlanta. They do have a lot of black police officers, but wow. That is my favorite scene in the movie, easily, Mr. Or, no, that is a second favorite. That's my second favorite scene in the movie, the black cop giving them a break so they can still at least try to get to the game, which doesn't happen. But still, so we get another moment of hope. My favorite moment in the film, absolute, above all, also lovely, Terry J. Vaughn, and her performance. They miss the game and go through all this. The car blows up. They almost get arrested on the MARTA. Like, woo, it is, man, not the best journey. We're at least going to get some waffles at the end of this with sprinkles. And Terry J. Vaughn. Wow, what a performance. I could have cried. I think she cried too. And she ends up in the color book too. Why did you end the movie that way? They missed out on the Braves game. They missed out on the fireworks. They almost get arrested. He almost loses Mason. But at least we got to wrap up with waffles and a dynamite performance from Miss Vaughn. How did you incorporate her into the film, and what was happening in this final scene of the movie here?
Yeah, so, that scene comes after they go on the journey and they miss the game. And for myself, I just felt like, man, they just need a win. They just need to find some type of peace and solitude within themselves of the entire journey and their entire experience. And for me, it's like we see the opening of the film is them making waffles. And it's like, why not bring that back home? That, you know what, despite them missing the game, they find value into the simple thing that connects them together. And it's by eating waffles. And in life, we sometimes overlook those small things that's so precious. Yes, we didn't make it to the game, but we got this. And this thing is making us smile. And if we're smiling, then we won. And for me, I wanted to just wrap it up in that symbolism that sometimes it's not about the big, glorious victory. It's about the small wins that brings us a sense of joy. And with Terry J. Vaughn's character, Robin, who works as a waitress at this restaurant or this diner, she complements that by bringing a smile to their faces. Because they've been facing all hell all day. From, running into the MARTA agents to trying to escape, to Mason losing his balloon, to their car breaking down. Man, sometimes you just need someone that's just serving you and being nice. And I think she brought that warmth, that spirit. When I wrote it, I knew she was someone I had in mind. She's also from Atlanta, so how she speaks is that natural twang. And she came on set and she was so pleasant. She was so respectful. She was everything that I wrote the character to be. And on top of that, she was a waitress as well. So, when she was coming up as an actress, she waited tables. So it was just a natural fit. She brought a natural energy that felt authentic.
Absolutely. I think, she gave such an amazing performance. Like, wow. I wish she had come to the movie too. Like, man, amazing for Terry J. Vaughn and just the whole, exactly as he said, just she's so patient with Mason because they go through all of this, and lucky he's still making time. Let's work on your W's. You can spell it out. You're a big boy, Mason. Come on, you can do it. And they're spelling out waffles, and she doesn't get angry like, man, I don't have all day. Hurry up with all this. She doesn't do any of that. She is so patient and quiet. And, man, just wow. Like, what an ending. Did I watch this thing here? Now, I've seen this twice. I did not see one white character in the film. Is that correct?
So there was one white character in the film. It's at the junkyard. So there was one white character in the film.
That's right. She's got the cane. He's going to. That's right. That's because
There's still white folks in the land.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fortune. Yes, sir. Hey, Buckhead. Hey, keep up the fight, because it doesn't have to be. You do not have to be a part of no Negro City. Keep up the fight. City of Buckhead. We're going to get it. But yes, but even that, though, I remember living in Atlanta. You really can structure your day if you wanted to, where you really wouldn't have to see a white person. Maybe you see the one white person at the junkyard, maybe. But I mean, that is true. Isn't that true, Mr. Fortune?
Yeah, it's a bit, more challenging now, because the city has, when in your heyday, definitely. When I was growing up, most definitely. Now, I think, the population is a bit more diverse, where you would run into, people that's opposite of your race, So that is possible, and that's why it's a timeless film. It's a timeless film. It could play in yesterday, when you was coming up and when I was coming up in Atlanta, where, hey, I would go days with just seeing black folks, right? That was a part of my community. So it's different nowadays for sure.
Wow. The neighborhoods immediately around the Morehouse area, has that been gentrified?
Yes, for the most part, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you come to Atlanta, if you go to the areas around Morehouse, it is obvious and it's something that the community is facing and the community is fighting for. Even in the neighborhood where we shot Lucky and Mason's home, they had to put it in a rule in the Weston District. It's the Weston Historical District, which has had homes in that area since 1901. So those homes are over 100 years old. And they have to put rules in place that, whoever buys a home, while you can remodel it inside, you can't change the visuals of outside of the home. Because they want to remain true and authentic to the neighborhood and the community. And so they have to put laws in place and rules and regulations in place just to make sure that they keep the visualization of the community. But, that's just a visual of the community. What truly takes place is what's happening inside the community. And that's being changed, So it's something that the community is facing. And something that the community is still trying to hold on to.
Wow. Man, I have not been back to Atlanta in some years. I need to make a return trip. Like, whoa. Wow. I couldn't even imagine like a gentrified region around as at Morehouse, Spelman, Morris Brown, which is all very close to downtown. So I could see why that would be, prize real estate. But wow, that would be something to behold. I got to go back to Atlanta. Mr. Fortune, it has been a true pleasure. As I saw about 36 films at SIFF. I did not see any bad films. They were all fantastic, all about racism. The best of the best. Color book, top tier. Wow. Just, I'm so glad I was able to make time to see it. Hopefully they'll get the distribution correct and all kinds of folks will have an opportunity to check out this film. Are there like upcoming festivals coming up for the project or other places where folks can screen it?
Yes, so we have a few film festivals coming up. So Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, it'll be playing there. So if anyone's in the Boston area, please, or it's in the Massachusetts area, please go check it out. We'll be doing another screening in Atlanta at the Bronze Lens Film Festival in August. And yeah, so we have another film festival in Oregon called the Bend Film Festival. So those who are in the specific Northwestern region, please go check it out there. And we have a film festival, the West Washington Film Festival, that's playing this fall. So anyone is in the DC area, you can check out Color Book at the West Washington Film Festival. So yeah, we're still traveling and playing the movie all across the nation.
Love it. And where
And
can
so
folks?
if you also need a more update, you can just follow the progress of the film at Color Book Film on Instagram. So just type in at Color Book Film, and we'll keep you updated on our next screenings.
At Color Book Film on IG. At
Yes.
Color Book Film on IG, and he already gave you a lengthy list. You have lots of geographic choices. The Oregon Bend Festival, the Atlanta Bronze Lens Festival, Martha's Vineyards Black Filmmakers Film Festival, and the West Washington Film Festival. Go to at Color Book Film on IG. They'll have all of the updates for where you can check out Color Book. Gus T, 2 massive thumbs up. Jeremiah Daniels, Oscar worthy, spectacular. Just what a performance, and job well done, Mr. Fortune. Thank you so much for being so generous to come and hang out with us on a beautiful Tuesday summer evening. You could have been working on other films or funding, all kinds of things, or distribution, but to hang out and talk with us about your amazing project. I'm just super grateful. I will be looking out and spreading the word, see if I can write a review too, do as much as I can to help promote the word. Thank you, and job well done, Mr. Fortune.
No, thank you so much, and God bless to everyone. I truly appreciate it. Much love.
For sure. Morehouse man, David Fritz Fortune, outstanding writer, filmmaker, producer for Color Book. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening, Mr. Fortune.
Yes, sir. You too. Take care.
For sure. Good evening. Context of White Supremacy. Our guest again, David Fritz Fortune, on Instagram at move my cursor down. Oh, there we go. On Instagram at Color Book Film. At Color Book Film. Get the updates and what have you. He said the Oregon Bend Festival. I have to see how close we are and when that is. If it's, because Seattle, not that close, not that far. Anyway, we'll take a quick commercial break, then we'll be right back. Wrap things up. Context of White Supremacy. Beautiful day, Gus T, at the beach in Seattle. We had, for us, a heat wave. For Oregon, too. This is a heat wave. It is 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which, oh my God, we're going to melt and die. I'm just giving context. For Seattle, 85 degrees is like 7 degrees above what the average temperature is for these parts this time of year. It would normally be about 77 degrees in late July during the summer. So, I guess it depends on what you feel about 85. For Atlanta, 85 degrees as a daytime high? Are you kidding me? I would take that every day, all day, 50 days out of the summer. Like, are you serious? 85 degrees? Whew. I think I'd even take that for May in Atlanta, much less July. Like, that's it? That's gonna, woo, we might not even need the air conditioning on all day long. Like, woo, man. Anyway, but 85 in Seattle is cause for emergency. So, Gus T, at the beach. You can turn on the AC or go to the beach. I chose the beach. I think great option. The Wi-Fi still works. Great broadcasts. Watch the sunset. Look at that. The water. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Best option. Broadcast at the beach in the summertime. Anyway, quick commercial break, then we'll be right back. Context of White Supremacy. Let's see.
And from the late 1960s, after the death of Martin Luther King and the riots and the upheavals and all like this, and black people with their fists in there and all like that, and trying to stumble and fumble and find their way and get focus, the white supremacists made a blueprint and put it in action. And that is, I'm going to have these people so confused, they don't even know what they started out to do. And by the late 1970s, they had just about completed it. And we've been on that ever since. And you mentioned something very important. They are more comfortable than ever. But see, it's like making gorillas comfortable in a cage, or monkeys, or pandas. You still got them in a cage, but they're comfortable. See, so give him some bling bling. It's like giving an animal a brand new car and training the animal to ride up and down the street in it. And then you stand back and point at the animal. Like one white man said in the late 1950s. He said he doesn't care what kind of car a Negro has. He said he's still a nigger. And when he rides by in a shiny car, to him, it's just a monkey in a car. White people built a car, put a monkey in it, trained the monkey to drive the car, so now you're looking at a monkey in a car. See, but black people don't see themselves that way. But this is how the white supremacists see us, and they are the ones who run our business. And we have to know that when they look at us, that's what they see. That's what they see. That's what they see. And at a subliminal level, what they see begins to spill over into our brains so that we, at a subliminal level, see each other that way. And indirectly see ourselves that way.
See ourselves that. Boy, if you need that reflected, visit Atlanta. Now, I'm going to wager, even with an influx of people classified as white, ain't no absence, void, lack of anti-blackness in Atlanta. Woo! How we see each other. Racists most to blame, but wow. Again, I'm going to have to go back to Atlanta to see, like, really? The area around Morehouse? Morris Brown? Spelman? That has been gentrified? Do what? I'd have to go and see, like, if they got, like, dog grooming shops, like, do what? Do when? What? When? I have to go make a trip. If I can live long, I just have to go, and I don't stay no long time. I'm not in love with Atlanta, man. But I would just want to, like, what? 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 I thought Buckhead would succeed. For people who are not familiar with, like, Atlanta politics, so Buckhead is a neighborhood that is a part of Atlanta official, okay? It is a neighborhood. They have neighborhoods in many parts of the city. Buckhead is kind of north. So if you were downtown Atlanta at 5 Points, mentioned and in the film. So if you were downtown on the MARTA at 5 Points, Buckhead would be north. You could take the MARTA north. You could drive. You hop on Peachtree, drive north to go to Lenox Mall and all that stuff. But all that stuff, Lenox Mall, all that is in Buckhead. So there are still black people in Buckhead because there are so many black people in Atlanta. But you have a lot more wealthy white people in Buckhead who for many years have said we do not want no MARTA here, bus or train, and we don't even want to be a part of the city of Atlanta. We want to be a whole separate entity. We need a whole separate area code, zip code, everything. City of Buckhead official. They have been trying to do this for years. It's in the papers and all of that. It's been defeated. I mean, you're still talking about secession in 2025? Yes. But they say it doesn't have anything to do with, anyway. But the nonsense of the ATL area aside, I would love to go and check out what all this looks like now, briefly. That aside, Talking about it, since we talked about films, reading still more important than watching television, for sure. And that'll even come up in what I'm about to share. But the film festivals, I am going to tell you, if you are into watching TV, which so many of us are, you should go to a film festival. Really. Like, see when they're going to be in your area. If you live near a big city or even a not so big city, they probably have a film festival, and they'll probably have 3, 12, 50, depending on how many films they have, films or projects that are directly about racism, and probably 1 or 2 that are about racism in your specific region, because most film festivals, they tend to be kind of region, or I'll say it, Seattle International Film Festival, they have a lot of international films. Mr. Fortune's project is about Atlanta, but it's screened here. I told you the film about Riefenstahl, that's a German documentary, but it's screened here. So they did have Seattle-specific films there, but they had a lot of films that were not about Seattle, and that's frequently the case at film festivals. The common theme will be the system of white supremacy racism, directly or indirectly. You can go and you can ask questions, so it's not just a spectator event. You can specifically look, is the director, filmmaker, are they going to be there? Is it going to be a Q&A? And even if they don't have a Q&A, the filmmakers frequently will malinger after the showing, so you can just go up and ask, even if they don't have a, like official microphone and all that. Hey, I saw the film, because I did that with Mr. Fortune before and after the film. Like I told you, I got there and I hadn't even seen this film. Like a lot of the films that I saw for the film festival, because I had a press pass, I'd already seen them. They'll, you can get screeners and that, or maybe you all don't know, but you can get screeners so you can see the film in advance. I could have seen Color Book in advance. I just wasn't aware. I didn't really find out about this film until too late to see it in advance. I just had to go see it on the big screen. Yay for Gus. But I was able to watch it again afterwards because I had a press pass. There were so many films to check out directly about racism with the film festivals, because I've gone to so many now. You can see all kinds of wacky films that are related to racism. That'll be things you can research, things you can talk to other victims about. I went to the grocery store, one of my favorites, here in Seattle, within the last, I think, like 10 days. It was right after I got back from Wisconsin. Went to the store, black male who works there. We normally cordial, chatted up, not about rape, looting, nothing else. Normally, we don't talk about racism either. No problem there. Conflict, keep it short, keep it moving. For whatever reason, this day, he says, hey, Brother Gus, good to see you, blah, blah, blah. And he says, hey, man, I just watched this film called The Order about these racists here in Washington State. They go out looting, robbing banks. And he said, man, I live right here in Seattle. I don't know nothing about all this. Man, Gus T, the only thing that would have made this story a little bit better is if I'd had my American Film Institute 2024 tote bag. That would have made the story a little bit better if I'd been able to turn and show off my paraphernalia, my swag, if you will, from the LA festival and say, oh man, I saw The Order with the cast present, Jude Law and all, in Los Angeles, Hollywood specifically, just a few months ago. I was able to do all that. I just couldn't turn and show off my bag like, see. But I told him, I said, yep, I just saw that. He said, what? I said, yep, I just saw that in Los Angeles. And then I said, and you know what? I was lucky to see it in LA, smog and all, because it didn't even play at the movie theaters here. He said, what? I did have to watch it on the screen. I had to stream it. Yeah, I said, yeah, that's Washington State history. this happened. This is in the newspapers, and they got, news footage of all this, them out sticking up, shooting white people, shooting enforcement officers. White native. I said, matter of fact, reading is more important than watching television. I said, have you read the Turner Diaries? He said, oh man, Brother Gus, no, I ain't read no Turner Diaries. I said, man, I had read that book before I saw the movie. I said, man, I almost tore up the theater in Los Angeles. They done dropped the Turner Diaries. I said, what? Do what? Wait, they... Ooh. I said, you got to read the Turner Diaries, brother. That book comes up all the time. It's 50 years old. And the Turner Diaries is considered youth literature. As for the young adults, they say, raping, attacking electrical grid. I keep bringing that up all the time. All these different attacks that they've had going back for 2-3 years since the Rona. We're going to go out and hit the electrical grid. They were having that in Oregon, Washington, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, all across the U.S. and I think beyond too. But racist, that wasn't Leroy. That wasn't Lakeisha. That was racist man, racist woman, racist child. We're going to go and blow up the substation. See if we can knock all the electricity out. Get the race war. Ooh, go out and shoot some niggers. Get my AR-15, dust it off. We ready to roll. That's Turner Diaries. William Pierce, third book we read, Catherine Massey Book Club. But I told my black brother, I said, yes, you should read the Turner Diaries. I said, in fact, I think you can get that book, Seattle Public Library. I might be wrong on that. If you can't get it at Seattle Public Library, I know for a fact you can get it at the University of Washington Library. Fact, you can go get a free copy, if not online and, all the rest, because it's 50 years old now. He said, man, I didn't even know that. I hadn't read the book. I said, man, they had illustrated copies of the book in the film, which they do, The Order. I said, when we read it, I didn't even have, they didn't have no pictures in the book when I read it. Talking about killing black rapists, black males, killing black male rapists in the book when they're not robbing banks and bombing federal buildings. Inspired Timothy McVeigh out in Oklahoma, 2 times for Oklahoma today. Neely Fuller Jr. But I just had that conversation. I said, wow, that'd have been totally different if I had not seen The Order. Then if he had told me about, like, they made a movie about a racist gang in Washington State based on things that really happened, wow, I would have went to go watch it. But I got to be the other way. Like, I saw that last year in Los Angeles and read the book that it's partly based on years ago. Catch it. What did he say? Get a late card, brother. Get a late card. But that's what he said in Turner Diaries. I'm going to check that out. Reading is more important than watching television. And the same thing I say, study local history. If we were in Atlanta, Wayne Williams should not be a mystery. Even the history of Marta and racism in Atlanta, that should not be a mystery to you if you reside in that area. I'm in Seattle. Mary Kay Letourneau should not be a mystery to Gus T in this area, so on and so forth. If it was Mississippi, you better know all about Fannie Lou Hamer or get cracking learning. Any hoodles, reading more important than watching television. That said, our guest for today, Mr. Fortune, well, I hope they get the distribution perfect. I hope there's no racist interference so that lots of people have an opportunity to see this film. I think especially black people like to see a film where there is a black dad. Like I said, they did have other films at the festival that were purportedly, these are films about black people and against racism and all. They didn't have no black dudes. They didn't have no black dads specifically. Important, very important. I submit two of the films that I liked most, Seeds, Color Book, they did have black dad and black dads being constructive. Even black granddads being constructive. Crazy, right? Perish the thought. Not raping, not looting, not robbing banks, smacking old people upside the head and running off with their purse. None of that. None of that. Trying to take care of my grandchild. Trying to take care of my son with a disability. See if we can get around Atlanta with no vehicle without being shot or shackled, accused of kidnapping. Like, man. Anyway, we'll be here on Thursday. Got my days. Thursday, neutralizing workplace racism, and then Friday, Mary Kay Letourneau Day. I thought about coming here because I'm at Richmond Beach, which I don't think is mentioned in the book. Like, this is way too far north from most of the book that we've been talking about. Is kind of south of Seattle, so this is north of Seattle. I don't know if Richmond Beach is gonna come up in our read, but we'll see. But I thought about coming here to broadcast because last week I broadcasted and I could see Mount Rainier, and this time I could see the beautiful the ocean. I think that's the Cascade Mountains back there, but I don't know. This is not really a part of the Mary Kay story, so I'm gonna try and pick out some of the other locations that we are actually hearing brought up in the book as we move through the text. But that's Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then Saturday, compensatory call-in. We'll catch up on what has transpired over the last 7 days. But man, Color Book was outstanding. The acting, Will Catlett, Jeremiah Daniels, young, and even that, he said they didn't even get a lot of people who wanted to be in the starring role, to be the son in the movie. But Jeremiah Daniels was awesome. The supporting cast, just, man, everybody. Special shout out to the lovely Terry J. Vaughn. He said right there in Atlanta. She does sound like someone who has that kind of southerny Atlanta sound, but I loved it. Just seeing a black dad being there and dedicated and with his son through the worst of it all. I'm right here thick and thin trying to do the best that I can with his son. And then even the others around that, and supporting him in grieving the loss of, and even there is no animosity. They are so distraught and heartbroken about the loss of Tammy. That's Mason's mother, Lucky's wife. There is no hate, like, you have a divorce or something like that, and it's just, good riddance. There's none of that. She is mourned throughout the film, and just you see the amount of care that they had for her, and they have a little wake service or memorial and balloon release really early, right at the beginning of the film, where you see other people who connected to her and just talking about memories and funny stories and that sort of thing. So just, man, to have a film where there's no bickering and squabbling and name calling and just trying to deal with the plantation of racism in Atlanta. Black dad, black son. That's really how I've been thinking about it. Like, oh yes, and he does have Down syndrome. That's important too, but just black dad, black son. Plantation of Atlanta. Anywho, I hope they get the distribution correct. I do think that, though, like, woo-wee. I mean, do people want to see a black and white film with no shooting, no Cat Williams jokes, really just about a black dad trying to be a parent to his black son? You all have to let me know, would you? We'll see. Are you all interested in seeing a film like that? No Cat Williams jokes. No Kevin Hart. None of that. None of that. No nudity. It is in Atlanta. No Magic City cameos. You think black people want to see? Do you all want to see a film like that? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know. You can drop an email, all that good stuff. Let's see. Anything else you want to get in? Octavius in New York? Any other? Are you interested in seeing Coloring Book? Now that you've heard the filmmaker give some tidbits, more data about the film. You've heard a few snippets. Are you interested? Do you think a number of black people that you're around, wow, this color book, this sounds like something we want to go check out. What do you think?
Yeah, Gus. I don't know about how many people would actually go out that I know would go and see this. That's not a large amount of people, unfortunately. I think a film that most films, I think people are more engaged in tend to have to be violent or sexual. So, but me personally, I'm definitely going to see it. I do think may have to make a trip down to Washington, D.C. to see it, but it'll be worth it. I have family down there, so I could, do both. But I got to give him a lot of credit because psychologically, telling a story is one thing, verbally, but telling a story visually and then understanding the psychological aspects of the characters to the point where, he spoke about black men and their emotions, and yeah, we want to see emotions fly and guys, sharing things, but we're not really ready for that yet. And to have the intelligence and the understanding to know that and put it in the film speaks to his level of understanding of black men as well and our so-called community. So I got to give him a lot of credit, just that nuance alone. And like I said, I used to do this with my son too. Give him a coloring book, let him draw, let him sketch while I did other things in the household until food was ready. And that immediately caught my attention. So that's why I tuned in. Again, thank him for his work, and thanks for having him on, Gus. I'll mute my line.
Much obliged. Yeah, it's no, or I was going to say it's no pyrotechnics in this film. False. That's a big part of the closing of the film. They do have fireworks in the film, but it's no gun battles. We'll put it that way. No gun battles. Nobody gets stabbed. Nobody jumps off a building. We don't have any bombs or anything of that. No TNA. None of that. Just the plantation that is Atlanta. Let's see if we can get to this baseball game and get back without being arrested, charged with kidnapping, rape. Like, woo. But it will definitely, I think it would hold your attention. It was a packed house. Like I said, it was a packed house. I had to sit on the very, very front row. I don't think they had all of their family and friends flown in from Atlanta talking about Mr. Fortune or even Mr. Daniels. I think if I remember correctly, they may reside in the Colorado area, I think. But yeah, I don't think they had all their friends and family flown out here to Seattle to fill up the theater on a random Saturday afternoon. Just be like, wow, everybody wanted to come and see Colorado. What? I don't think so. I would have loved to have seen this film at one of the Atlanta festivals, to like see this with a lot of black people. Wow, that would have, like, a whole theater of black people, much less a theater of black people in Atlanta. Wow, now that would have been an experience. Maybe one day. Anyway, if any folks, if you are able to see this film subsequently, distribute, and I mean whenever, months later, if it's next year, whatever, let us know. Drop an email or dial in. This is one. I will give an allowance. Compensatory call in. You see this film, or Tina, because we had the filmmaker. That one was pre-recorded, not live, but that's in the archives as well. Filmmakers from New Zealand, that film Tina, I don't know if that's available widespread or not, but all about white supremacy in New Zealand. A non-white female teacher at a predominantly white racist school in New Zealand. This is like a high school. She's grieving the loss of her non-white daughter, and then working with their choir team. Lots of racism directed at her. Even workplace, they're talking about filing a suit for wrongful racist termination of a non-white employee. That's the big part of the climax of the film. But anyway, interview with those filmmakers about Tina is in the archives. We even talked about Christchurch, the racist attack in New Zealand. I think that was 2019. We talked about that as well. And that was, they're right there at the... Anyway, that's in the archives. It was amazing. The film festival, Seattle International Film Festival this year and last year was pretty hot too. But wow, as long as I'm here in Seattle, I'll see if I can make that a staple and see if I can continue to get some of the filmmakers to come on and talk, because all of the content was about racism. Directly, indirectly, most of it very explicitly, but all of the content was about racism. All over the world, international. I don't even think I talked about most of the films that I saw because, we weren't broadcasting in between. But last one I'll say, Happy End, Japanese film. It's about, loosely, these students carry out a prank. These are high school students, so they carry out a prank against the principal. They get upset and they install brand new high-tech surveillance cameras, facial recognition, all of that in the school. So we're not going to have any more pranks, you all messing around here on campus. So the students get upset and they we're going to protest against these cameras. We have freedoms too, and you're not going to mess us over. In Japan now. So a part of this narrative is they are also protesting against racism. There are black students here in Japan, like sure enough black. They are protesting that they are being mistreated specifically because they are classified as black. Woo. One system in the known universe, the global system of white supremacy, racism, and I don't think there are any white people in this movie. I was glad Mr. Fortune said there's one white woman in Color Book at the junkyard, and she's there for like 30 seconds. Wow, I think that's significant that the only white person in this film is at the junkyard. Where they're going, Tammy's car, that's where it is. She's the mom, wife, deceased. They're going to get some of her, items, belongings and such. But either way, that's the film festivals. You can learn a lot about racism, white supremacy, spectate, share a lot, all that. We will be back on Thursday, neutralizing workplace racism, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Drop a line if you get to see Color Book down the road, or let us know on the compensatory call-in. Sobriety would be best, especially they say it's the 100 most dangerous days on the road. If you're going to be traveling out and about, especially if you are a newer driver, if you have children just starting to drive or haven't been driving that long, let them know. It is really dangerous. You have lots of people who are going out to the beach and partying and all that stuff, drinking, getting behind the wheel. And then you got, we just had July 4th. Memorial Day, we just had that one too. Labor Day is coming up, and then you'll have people doing cookouts, barbecues, weddings, anniversaries, family reunions, really any excuse for an alcoholic beverage. So be mindful of that. Be safe as you're out and about. They say the 100 most dangerous days on the road right now. Strive to be safe, and being mindful that there are lots of folks out there who are intoxicated and not driving safely. Creator, we ask that you remind us, maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Remind us not to waste non-white people's time and energy, especially our own. Stop name-calling black people. Stop producing throwaway offspring. Stop saying not all white people are racist. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.